Hello, I'm Jerry Lintner, and this is State of the Town, a monthly show when we sit with our first selectman, Lisa Heavner, and get brought up to date on the state of the town. Plus, we have a special guest in a few minutes, so if this first part is boring, hold your breath. It'll be very exciting. Lisa.
Hi, Jerry.
Thank you. So there were a couple things that were brought to my attention.
Sure.
From a previous show, which is part of why our special guest is here. But the general question, I'll make it brief because of the special guest who had a lot to cover. A meeting that was supposed to be Tuesday night, last night at 4 o'clock, which was the committee that was looking for public input on what should the architect consider for location of the senior center at the Performing Arts Center. So 2 questions I have been asked, well, more, but generally 2 categories. 1, has the decision definitely been made that that will be the location for the senior center?
The decision, the vote by the Board of Selectmen was to fully explore that site and see if it's environmentally sustainable. Can we do it there? And is it compatible with the programming needs of the Performing Arts Center? And at the time we made the decision to explore, we don't have the answers for that, and we're still exploring that. So it's not definite. The whole purpose is to fully explore that site.
Okay. So, well, that answers a lot of people's questions. So, because the meeting is now tonight, which when you see this, you're going to miss it. The other question was, and one of them was, will environmental impact be considered? And I think that came from a lot of people who were, when we were looking at Betty Hudson's property, talking about what other plans there'd be for that area and how the stuff around the bridge might impact environment. So that's going to be addressed if people bring it up. Now, what if people can't make these meetings? Is there any way to contact that group? And how did they come into being? Were they volunteers?
Well, that's a great question, Jerry. What we did is on the Architectural Selection Committee was appointed by the Board of Selectmen, and we said, what groups
Nobody
of people...
called me.
Well, we thought about it. You were next in line. We had you on the list. We
Probably
just
a
didn't get to you.
long line.
Well, what we did is we tried to bring representatives from the building committee. The chair of the building committee is the chair of this group because eventually the project, when you build a building, it goes to the building committee to supervise the build of the project. So he's chairing it. But we thought it was important to bring in someone from design review, conservation, because we know that there may be some environmental impacts, and we want to make sure those are fully addressed before we do any build, make sure it's compatible with that. From Culture, Parks, and Rec, because once the building
Who's the one from Culture, Parks, and Rec?
That, I did not bring my list with me. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
It's not the king over there, though. It's some underling of his.
do you remember who it is, Jerry?
I think Bill Mullen.
Bill Mullen. So we do have a number of...
Isn't he an Oh, no, he's not the environmentalist. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, so that design review, public building, Parks and Rec, conservation, and aging and disability, because obviously we're building a senior center, so the chairman of aging and disability.
And I wasn't considered for aging and disability?
Well, traditionally, it's very, when you go out to bid for an architect, it's really just the building committee that does that. But because this is such a community project, we wanted, and because it has so many potential impacts, we wanted to get all the commissions that might have a foot in the game to help participate in the selection.
So 4 people, and a number of them are still working, some seniors, others not, who wanted to give input. If the meetings are going to be at 4, how do they get input to the committee other than attending the meeting?
They can send an email to Jeff Shea, who is our town engineer who's coordinating this, or they can always contact my office, and I'd be happy to forward it to the committee.
Everybody send it to Lisa because I don't know Jeff, and Lisa is such a workhorse. At the end of the day, you do not want to be around her. Sweat is pouring off of her. It's like people just, hi, Lisa. So send it to her. She's totally committed.
The one thing I will say is generally when we go out to bid, we don't even do public input. So this is a particular outreach. The building committee, other than what public input at building committee. So this is a special outreach to the community because we know the community has a lot of interest in this project.
One of the concerns you brought up, one of the things that was considered in the selectmen's decision, correct me if I'm wrong, that you brought up last month that I thought was a good point is if it were in one of the locations the charrette had suggested, it could deprive the town of income-producing occupancy. So
Right.
that, I thought, well, that's something that the everyday citizen probably doesn't stop to think. And we're really getting quite limited on what can be
Right.
developed in town.
Well, one of the things I'm really excited about, Jerry, that I don't think I had for you last time, is we are in the process of hiring a consultant who is an expert on senior center programming to help us to evaluate what programs we're currently offering and what kind of programming needs we're going to have over the next 30 years.
Was it that exercise guy, that little funny-looking one who
No.
lost all the weight?
No, it's not
No.
him. No, it's actually a professor at Fordham that we're in negotiations with, who's an expert in the field, a former director of senior center, and he'll help us evaluate our space needs as well. So we're doing this in a very thoughtful, methodical manner, and so we're excited
Okay,
to
well,
bring
I'll
that
tell
in
you,
as well.
don't pee off the seniors that are entrenched in that organization already.
Well,
Big trouble. They could finish you off in a
They
minute.
could eat me for lunch, no question. And
Okay.
our hope is to accommodate their needs, but also to plan for the needs of seniors over the next 30 years. So-
Okay, great.
And for the community as well.
Now, one other quick thing, and actually, I probably, by one of my questions, let it, people, are you guessing who our special guest is? There were hints. My grandmother loves it. My granddaughter loves it. We're reading this mystery series, and then she'll stop me and she'll say, because I told her how an author often plants clues early in the dialogue, and she'll stop and say, Grandpa, I think maybe that guy is not really a good guy. So, anyhow, I planted a hint. I didn't mean to do that, but it's too late now. Then you wanted to address some, I think, relatively good news about the state budget, because we had some, looked like we were going to get messed up a little bit,
Well, it's not.
town-wise.
So far, the numbers are coming in better than expected. What happened at the state legislature, and we're, thanks to John and Kevin for giving us updates and keeping us informed during this process, is the state legislature has done some interesting things with their budget, and one of which is to cap the mill rate on cars at 32 mills. What that means for Simsbury is a reduction in revenue, because our mill rate is higher than that. And what the state said, well, we're going to cap it at 32, but we're going to reimburse you for the revenue you've lost. So that's going to be revenue neutral for us, and it means your taxes, your car taxes are going to go down.
And isn't there something about our property taxes, that new arrangement somehow becomes more beneficial to us?
Well, one of the things that...
I listen to the news late at night,
Well,
so
I'm
I could
glad.
have that.
I'm glad
I
you
could have
did. So one of the other things the state legislature did is they said, okay, we're going to give towns 0.5% of the sales tax. And so as an additional revenue source for them, and that will enable the towns to reduce their mill rate.
0.5% of the town sales tax?
No, this town does not have a sales tax, so it's the state sales tax. So they would just send checks to the municipalities.
Everybody gets
Every
that
municipality,
amount?
they don't get 0.5%, but they get their proportion of it. And for Simsbury, that means
How is it proportion?
they do it by population.
Oh, okay.
So they'll be looking at, for Simsbury, we'll be looking at receiving an additional $775,368 for fiscal year 2017. They will be increasing our education cost-sharing money that we get
Yeah, yeah.
for the schools, and that will be an increase of about $222,000 for a net revenue increase for the town of over $1 million in fiscal year 17. And for this coming year, we're going to be receiving an extra $321,000 in educational cost sharing above what we had budgeted.
So does that put us ahead of the game from last year, or about the same?
No,
or-
no, that puts us ahead. So it gives us a little extra money. On the other hand, what they've done is they've reduced, the credit you can take for your taxes. So what it means for individuals, I don't, it will depend on your income and
Right.
what tax credits you have. So it's a cautious wait and see. I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but these are the numbers we have right now. They're going back into session to do a little bit more in the budget, so those numbers may change, and we'll be monitoring it closely.
Okay. So do I get to introduce your guest
You
now?
do.
Okay. Well, pull up your socks. This guy, when he came to town, I wasn't even old then yet, he ends up getting younger and younger and younger, and he brings dare I say, so much joy, so much child happiness to this town, and he's constantly under the gun. So here he is, the king of parks and recs, Gerry Toner.
Quite the fanfare.
Hello, Mr.
Here.
Toner. Please
Mr.
scoot
Lintner, how
over
are
here.
you?
Let's all
How
scoot
are
over
you?
a
All right,
little
I'll
bit.
come over a little bit so we can get you in.
Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, and you don't blush nearly as much as you used to.
Yeah,
That's
you
so
see, you
disappointing.
do-
Yeah.
you
Did
do-
you
you
take
do
a
bring that
pill
out.
ahead of time or something? You're like, let's not. Oh, there it
A
goes.
little more
bit.
conditioned. I'm not as
little bit.
conditioned as I thought I
Just a little
was.
bit. Okay. Well, I know one. Well, here, let's deal with the tough one first. That I was told I may have left a misimpression. I might have. I didn't intend to. I was asking about the special account budget or whatever it is.
We know
Special
you're-
revenue.
Special revenue.
That's
fund.
the one. The
Near,
special.
near and dear to all our hearts.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And I remember when that came up years
Yep.
ago. And what I remember is all the talk about how much money it was going to make us because it would always make more money than was allocated to it. And then I learned that it hasn't quite worked out that way. So that was my comment. The individual who approached me, which, by the way, I appreciate very much, said, I think you left the impression that the golf part of the program doesn't pay for itself, but that it does. So, could you give us a little clarification? And why are you gouging the golfers and they're getting so much money and all these others are tanking the town that come there for like free?
I would say that's a misimpression, but I'll let
Yeah,
Jerry
you
answer.
definitely want to get that cleared up on here. The golfers are right behind the seniors when it comes to groups that you don't want to get on your, under your bad side.
Well, I
But-
don't go to the pool. So.
No, I think, the intent of the revenue fund was that, it isolated the majority of our department. And
Which is?
the facilities but our Simsbury Farms and all our programs, and as well as the golf
What
course
are the
and pools.
programs?
Well, all the camps and things that we do throughout the year.
So a lot
And
of the youth things.
A
Yeah,
lot.
yes. So
Like
they
the
were all,
summer youth
they-
stuff?
Yeah, they do. That
Yes.
would be included. Yeah. So I think the idea was that we'll isolate that part and just let it run as its own self-contained entity. And for a while, it did work well. And then, over time, things changed, and now we're really
Like what?
trying to some.
The way we
that's
allocated
yeah,
staff.
the way things
'Cause
were allocated.
Jerry's
but,
staff works not
Right.
only in Parks and Rec, but they also do other maintenance like trails work. And so the way we allocated staff time and the accompanying financials with it, we relooked at that, and this past year we tried to do it a little bit more representative of how we're actually spending money.
Well, the other thing, if Jerry is Batman, then Orlando is Robin. He is incredible.
Isn't he?
And then down at the Flower Bridge, the one winter when we said, could we have some shields so the snow doesn't blow in the water system and all that or get blown up, they painted folk art on these shields. It was so cool. It was like quilt design. So they do go the extra mile. That was probably your idea, though, right? Let's paint
Yeah, I don't know if that was us, but they were painting the folk art. But he does. I'm glad you brought it up because Orlando and our Parks Department often don't get recognized for the job they do,
Well, they
and
should.
probably for the fact that because they do such a good job,
people take it
they
for granted.
They absolutely do, and over the years, more and more and more has been added, to his plate, and it's one of those things. They do such a good job, and they're so efficient at what they do. I think people do tend to take it for granted, but I think sometimes it's funny. Somebody stopped me the other day and they said, we take it for granted until we go out of town.
Exactly.
And whether it's kids that may be playing sports or anything, and they say, then we come back and we really appreciate the job that you guys do, and it really, I think when you look at the resources that he has, and as well as Mike Wallace, who's our golf course superintendent. There's probably no two guys that get more out of what we have than them, and so it's they certainly do deserve
Okay,
some
enough about
recognition.
them. Let's grade you now. So
they're the ones that.
So the golf stuff, do they make like lots of money? The golf.
Well,
stuff?
they do. I mean, the golf industry has changed, dramatically, probably over the last 10 to 15 years.
I know.
So
Tiger.
it's not
Wasn't
that
he a
model's-
disappointment?
it's-
What an immoral guy I was.
Well.
That and Lance Armstrong Oh, this is my granddaughter's, but this is Lance, and I'm not giving it up. But that was such a shame. And then Tom Brady. I mean, dare I go on? No, and here we are at Gerry Toner. So spill it all, Jerry.
Your question.
Yeah, there was
Your
a question before. You forgot it?
If we were going back, the golf course, I think, has done well, and it will continue to do well. And we have great folks up there that I think are, in addition to Mike Wallace, we've got great pro shop staff, John Varengia and his folks. I think are doing a great job. They put always some new programs and things going, and we're trying to attract more people all the time. I think once people come once, they'll come up there again. I
But
think
it
that's
gets
what we
rated
found.
really highly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful, and again,
Yeah.
that's a tribute to the people who work on Jerry's team and do such a wonderful job
Mm-hmm.
maintaining the grounds, especially with limited resources.
How do you keep the clover out of it? I need a clover
We don't-
killer.
We don't.
Oh, you don't?
We
On the
don't.
greens, though.
Clover's the worst of our problem. It is. It's not
yeah.
all that bad.
And voles and moles, how about
Yeah.
those?
Yeah, it's a battle.
Euthanize them?
It's a battle.
No.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah,
But
that's
it's
how
a-
we stay alive, right? Fighting the battle day after day. Okay, so you've been here, let's see, was it 43 years now?
This is not
No.
quite. Not
Oh,
quite.
oh, how
but-
many years?
Oh, 30
Yeah,
plus. Yeah.
okay. So the program's grown or,
Yeah.
yeah?
Yes,
I mean,
yeah,
like
yeah, they
double,
have.
triple, whatever, you don't keep track of that?
Well, I think when you look, every year they're changing, and we're trying to, try and update things. We've got a lot of, summer programs starting up next week.
Well, let's talk
so-
some about those, because I live across the street from what used to be Stuff and, or something.
Stuff to do?
Camp Stuff to Do. And they had this big sign up there, but that was years ago when it was said Camp Stuff to Do. And one of the pluses, one of the many pluses living near to a school, the exuberance. I mean, when they're playing games and you hear all of this and, we go to work like this. These kids get off the bus, they race here and there, and you think, my knees would fall out if I did that. But it
Yeah.
brings back memories, so it's wonderful. And then, as you mentioned, maybe 12 years ago, I had the opportunity to tape
Yeah.
the different summer programs. And the diversity of programs. And what was the one? It was in Stratton Forest, and there was like a raft survival,
They
inner
did. I
tube
remember
or
that.
something.
They built rafts, and it was part of the, we have a teen campus called Awesome Adventure, and they do
That
different
was
things.
what it
Yeah, and
was.
that was one of the things they did. I remember that. Yeah.
We don't do that anymore?
No, we still have that. Yeah.
My boys
There's
did
a lot of
that.
variety.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they love that. Awesome
Yeah, no, it's
adventure
great.
camp.
So Camp Stuff to Do, is that still
Stuff that
around?
has been renamed. It's now Junior Explorers, but it's still up at Central School and still popular as ever. So it's
Well,
good stuff.
Camp Stuff to Do was a really cool name.
It was.
So why don't you run down the breadth of programs? List
Well,
them
just,
all.
hopefully people will be looking, our summer brochure is out, and we always try and steer people to our website, simsburyrec.com, where they can also go and sign up for programs, and that really is, contains all our program information, but we have our pools are opening this weekend, and most of our programs start next weekend, so by the time this comes out, hopefully
Now,
people
when
will
you
be
say
thinking about
our
that.
pools, what's included in that?
Well, Simsbury Farms Pool will open this weekend.
What about
and
the one up there?
Memorial will be the following.
Oh, the following week.
Yeah.
Now, we're right across the street from that, too.
Mhm.
Do they get a lot of traffic? It
They
seems like...
do,
Yeah.
more and more.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and
That little waiting kind of thing there is great. The
it
little
is.
kids.
It is, and it gets a lot of use from the camps. The camp that's right over at Central uses it
Yep,
for,
yep.
and but we do get quite a bit of. It's still kind of a neighborhood. Pool.
Oh, yeah,
I think people
yeah.
really can walk over there
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
really enjoy it, and so it's a great spot.
One of the things people may not realize about Jerry's camps, he does a lot of programming not just for children but for adults. And so there are lots of activities. There's a very popular tennis camp that's
Mm-hmm.
offered through
Well, let's
Wheeling.
list some for adults. Maybe I want to do something. Oh,
We-
paddle the pickle. This is one where you use paddles on a pickle. Jerry and Lisa were telling me about it, and it's like Yeah, I don't know, but let's find out more about that.
There is a new sport that is taking on a life of its own. It's called pickleball. And I'll let Jerry explain. It's sort of like a squash played on a court.
It is. Yeah.
And,
But there is a paddle involved in
a
the
paddle and
pickles,
a
right?
wiffle ball.
Yeah, and a
They
wiffle
almost-
ball, and they play up on the rink at
the
Simsbury Farms.
wiffle ball is the pickle.
Yes. So not an actual pickle, but it is picking up steam, and we're excited to be able
Very
to offer
popular,
that.
very popular, and quite a following.
Played on a
so
court or on a table?
it's on the rink. They play on the rink, and then when the ice isn't down, they go up and play up there.
And they set up
so.
the nets. They
Set
have
up their
nets that
nets.
come
Oh,
up
they
and
have
down.
nets, so
Yeah.
it's not like they run the whole length and
Nah,
try
No.
to score in a goal
No.
or
No.
something like
No.
that. Okay, so more programs. Come on, we got people out there that are saying, I
Well,
might
there's
wanna
lots of
try
swimming
that.
a lot of great
programs?
stuff. Like I said,
Don't
we got a
just
lot of
say
adult
great
fitness
stuff.
programs.
Okay, like
adult-
what?
This yoga programs, abs.
Do you have a yoga
abs and
for
glutes
seniors?
class for people that really want to get fit.
No, wait, I want to
Um,
go up because, I need some of this.
You've
So
got to
is
get
it
to our
yoga
website.
for
You've got to get to our
seniors?
website and check this out.
But
You do.
we're on television.
SimsburyRec.com. is where people can-
SimsburyRec.com.
is
And
where
now
people
we're going
can
to
get all
spend a
this
little
information.
time, rather than you sitting isolated on your computer, talking about how exciting some of those programs are and describing them. So like the yoga class, do they have yoga for seniors?
They do. Any age can do it. Yeah,
We
have all
offer,
ages.
we offer
All
both,
ages, yeah.
both physical activity, not through the rec department for all adults, including seniors, and we also offer physical activities targeted specifically towards seniors at the senior center.
At
So
the
you have,
senior
you have
center.
options to look at exercise programs both at the senior center and at Parks and Rec.
And so do I have to sign a waiver before I do any of these? Like if
Part
my-
of your registration
If
form.
my
yeah,
kneecap fell out
yeah,
or something,
so-
I would have to sign a waiver for that.
But we have some exciting projects going on with Jerry this summer.
Yeah, we've
You wanna
got.
talk a little bit
yeah,
about
we've got
that?
a
Talk a
very
lot
exciting one. We've
about
got a
that.
great a young man who's working as an intern from Trinity College as an open space analyst for us, and he's. Some may not know we have over
Wait, what's an
2,400
open
acres
space
of open
analyst?
space in town, and this young man's coming in and helping us inventory it all and assess
this
it
would
all and
fall
let us
under
know
the
what we
parks
need to be
part.
doing.
It does.
It is under
It
our
does.
park and open space maintenance. So his name is Adam Hammershoy. He's been working for a
Whoa.
little over a week.
Let's do that
Um,
again. Adam
he's done a-
Hammershaw?
Adam Hammershoy.
That
and
is
he's
a
junior
classy name.
at Trinity, and he's doing a great job for
He
us,
is.
and so we're excited to have him.
And he's working with an app, an open space app, to help categorize, what plants are there, what animal species are there. And it's wonderful. We haven't really done a full inventory of what we have, so.
Okay, well, I am going to jump from the recreation just for a moment about open space, because I heard a while back that that whole thing was being reviewed because we have so many open space parcels that are so isolated from one another. Like a development would go in, and so a certain percentage of that needed to be open space. So you have these pieces at ends of cul-de-sacs and whatever that then it looks like it ends up being the town's job to maintain them if you have storms or stuff like that. So what I thought might come up is it'd be interesting if some of these parcels, if the zoning were changed, and I'm considering being a candidate for this, so I have selfish interest here, because we're thinking at some point we should downsize. The exercise is great, climbing so many stairs, but one of these days is going to be, Jan, would you haul me up to the landing? So if some of these spaces, they probably aren't zoned for a lot, but if they could be, and people who are downsizing could build tasteful but smaller homes that would be appropriate to the lot and the neighborhood, and the lots could be quite affordable because it's helping the town to reduce its budget and requirement to maintain those. Great idea, or what?
We'll think about it, Jer.
No, I
it under
don't think so.
consideration.
No, I saw you roll your eyes, Jerry. Okay.
No, but we are evaluating, you can't evaluate, I mean, to maintain your land, you have to understand what you have on it. So we are in the process of evaluating it, and I'd like to thank Open Space and Jerry and.
Okay, well, I looked at my watch wrong. We used to have a clock right over there that I could watch, but Lisa is such like a controlling queen of Simsbury. She moved the clock behind the camera person, so I have to squint and look at my little tiny watch here. And so, whereas I thought we were had so much time left. We have very little time left. So you have about a minute, Jerry, to really, really bang away at this fantastic program. And you're not doing it justice. You're being two-leg stayed. Go.
A lot to cover, but a lot of great things. If you want to come up to Simsbury Farms, there's guaranteed to be a lot to do.
And also, Jerry's going to start projects. We're going to build a warming room for the ice
We are.
skating rink.
We've got a number of
upgrades
projects
to the
underway.
pools and
Yeah,
rinks.
that's true. So thank you for mentioning that. We got a number of projects underway that we're working with Jeff Shea, who's our capital projects director, and we're going to get going on those soon.
Okay.
So yeah,
We're going to have to cut this off, but I am so disappointed. You're coming back, and you're going to have a list of all of the programs, and you're going to explain them. Now, let me know if we have to go hour and a half instead of a half hour.
Well, we could do that, or you could go to the website and you could actually look at the
No,
list.
stop the website. Some people don't do website. Jerry,
it's a
what is the
pleasure. Thank
website?
you. SimsburyRec.com. Everything you need to know is right there. Don't miss it.
and Lisa, again,
As
thank
always,
you.
thank you,
You're
Jerry.
good sport.
Thank you.
And appreciate all of you viewing, and hopefully we'll see you again next month on State of the Town.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.